This week, I visited the intramural fields at UNLV where hard hits are a must. These fields are the home to the women's rugby club. I met up with head coach Phil Clavork to find out more about the sport of rugby and ways to get involved.
The game of football was developed from the sport of rugby. The sport of rugby is basically a fundamental game of maintaining possession of the ball. Try to keep it within the playing area, and several things must happen in the game of rugby. One, there's no forward passes allowed at all. Two, there's no blocking, no interference in rugby. So basically, the only person can be touched or tackled is the person that has the ball or the person that's making the tackle.
Rugby is a fast and brutal sport that requires a lot of extreme contact and aggression. For most women, this is a new experience. Heather Hes-Rennerfeld, a veteran of 3 years, knows all too well about contact.
Rugby is a full contact sport. We can tackle most women's sports, except for maybe if there's a women's football team or something like that, don't have any tackling or any contact, so it's our opportunity to do that.
The level of contact can be rather off-putting to women. However, Coach Clavork's main focus being more aggressive.
No, they're not necessarily not used to it. What it is that they don't tend to have the same level of aggression that men do, and thusly from that point we need to get them more aggressive. And I think part of our success in the last 3 years since I've taken over coaching is I've been able to get their aggressiveness up. I mean, what I'm saying is what I want to do is go in there and make contact. Instead of being passive about it, I want to be aggressive in play. So going into tackle, I expect them to go in hard. And going with the ball, I expect them to go in hard. I want them to dictate how they're going to be tackled or how they're going to tackle somebody. And in reality is what's interesting about rugby versus, say, football, which is common knowledge in the U.S., is that in rugby we have substantially less injuries compared to football. And one part of the reasons is, one, we don't block, and two, we learn how to tackle, and we learn how to be tackled.
Rennerfeld agreed that learning how to tackle prevents injuries.
Once you've played a little while, you kind of learn how to fall, you learn how to go into a tackle, you learn how to take a hit, or how to dictate how you're going to be tackled. So it makes the chances of injury a little less likely.
The team suffers one problem: lack of participation. The current roster contains only 15 players, so during practice, they have to team up with the men's rugby team for opposition.
We don't have enough players currently to create our own opposition. So when we're trying to run plays, or we're trying to run, instead of ghosts, we're playing against ghosts. We're actually playing against physical bodies. And even if the men are not as talented as we would play at a higher level, or in a national competition that we have in November, what's going to happen is that we're playing against people, and the players need to react to actual bodies, what players would actually do in a game situation.
Coach Clavork would love to see more female players participate and try out.
They can show up at our training facility here at UNLV on the intramural fields between 7 and 9 o'clock. We start punctually at 7 o'clock, and we're usually done about 8:30 to 8:45. Sometimes we run a little longer, and we will run a little longer for the next couple of months because we are preparing for the national competition in Fort Myers, Florida in November.
Next week I return to the intramural fields to learn more about women's lacrosse.
Crouch, touch, sit.
For Studio G, I'm Alex Bull.